with forage really tight right now coming out of winter, there's a temptation to graze that wheat as it's taken off, and we know it's just about ready. You can just see it's ready to jump out of the ground or take off the short wheat. If we get some more rain like today, we get some heat units, it's really going to grow. Somewhere around March 1 every year, we get first hollow stem, depending on temperatures and what part of the state you're in. And so here's this temptation. Maybe I should run some cows or heifers out there, or to keep some stockers out because gains weren't what I wanted. But there's 2 studies that were done in Oklahoma on extended grazing that show that's a really bad idea economically. There was a study from Fieser et al. Who showed just 1 day of extended grazing reduced wheat grain yields then by 1%. But the Fieser study needs to be taken with a little bit of caution. They were grazing stockpiled forage, meaning the wheat was really tall, it hadn't been grazed. Where when we look at the paper, a study by Redmond et al., they show more punitive losses from extended grazing. Just 1 day of extended grazing, Redmond et al., and their study was on more conventionally managed pastures. They show a 5% loss in grain yields. So if we go back to the Fieser study, that equates to, after we take into account the gains that the stockers put on, about a 90-cent an acre loss, which isn't horrific. But when we look at the Redmond study, that 1 day loss is $11.40 an acre for a 35 bushel wheat at $7.50 with $1.40 in the value of stocker gains. If we're being conservative and trying to make good, sound financial decisions, we need to be pulling cattle off at or even before first hollow stem. So if we continue that, we continue to graze past first hollow stem, it gets even worse. The Fieser et al. Study showed a 3% loss in wheat grain yields, where Redmond et al. Showed a 15% at 3 days. At 7 days, it's even worse. Fieser, 6% loss, about $4 of lost profit. But the Redmond et al. Study, a third of the grain yield was lost. And that translates to about $75 an acre loss in terms of economic returns from grazing just 7 days past first hollow stem. It's just not a good idea. Be checking that wheat, pull those cattle. Don't take the losses.